Hello there, my name's Aenur and welcome to Mordheims, City of the Damned. Today I'm going to show you my Sisters of Sigmar warband, red and white Dream of Doom. With this warband I took part in the BBL2 Mordheim PvP Leage, which was organized by amazing Game Night. Check out his YouTube channel, Game Night Plays. And actually today I will play against Kittenpaw in the grand final. So it's the final day of the league as well. Every match, but this has already been played. And to show you what I can bring to this final, I'm making this video. So let me tell you something about the BBL2 League 2. The rules were to start with a level 0 warband and with 5 veteran points, then playing a first league, originally of 22, then it was cut to 11 PvP matches, starting off with a PvE match, then playing a PvP. After the PvP, if you won, you got a PvE mission to get some wordstone and stuff, and if you lost, you got 2 PvE missions to catch up on the wordstone and be able to fulfill the shipments. And after that, you play a PvP and then 1 or 2 PvEs again, and repeat this process again until you played against every other of the 11 opponents in your division. The BBL2 League first season had 24 players and they were divided up into 2 divisions, and then every player in the division made 11 games. Then it was planned to switch to the second division or the second league with an upper and a lower division, with top 6 of both divisions in the upper league and lower 6 in the lower league, and then doing 11 more matches and then going to the playoffs. Now the second league has been cut due to some issues with the rules of the league which didn't work out as planned, Game Night felt, and then we went straight into the elimination round. So we have played a first league in which I ended up 7th with 2 losses from another player I took over. I started into the leagues 2 games later, and I skipped 2 PvP missions, but started off with 5 instead of 1 PvE mission, and I ended up 7th with I think 5 wins and 6 losses, 2 from the other players, 4 from myself. So this is reflected in the warband stats. It's the amount of PvE missions and the amount of PvP missions. After the 11, so for me it were 9 PvP games in the first league, I did the round of 16, which I won an amazing match versus Piscardiac. Check it out on Karen's YouTube channel. Search for Karen on YouTube. And quarterfinal, which I luckily managed to win against Cold Poker. Check it out on Karen's channel too. And semi-final, which I even more luckily won against Karen. Check it out on his YouTube channel too. And now it's the last match for every other player. It's the 15th, or for Kittenpaw it's the 15th PvP match, and for me it's the 13th. You see my out of action rate ratio. I got quite some out of actions and therefore quite some injuries. I lost Sister Superior due to main hand. I lost 2 purifiers and I lost a smuggler, which and some henchmen of course. Everything was pretty hurtful to me, but still I managed to get up a quite competitive warband I managed to earn 17,000 gold, as you can see, and now I'm coming to the actual warband. You can see the warband rating. It's not as high as the one of my opponent, or of parent, or of one of the top tier players, but it's not too low either. So here we have the first unit, my leader, my matriarch, Dreamerous, Doro, Doom. I thought it would be cool to have those names. And I went for the strength for armor proficiency, as much toughness as I get. With that toughness I could have gotten mastery exhaustion, leadership of force, and int to spam comets and to be able to manage route checks. She got injury, but maximum weapon skill. Let's see the equipment. I managed to get some purples, lots of blues, and I even managed to get some enchantments like innovation. I got weapon skill enchantment, on armor. I got conspiracy, devotion, but in the last PvE I did, so this hammer already was enchanted, and luck rune and innovation for weapons, pretty nice. And also I got runes of shielding for my shields. So come to the skill. As you can see, she still has some unspent skill points, and I was planning on giving her mastery exhaustion, basic insult, and maxing the skill. So with shield of shielding, she could have some quite nice melee resistance, as you can see with the purple shield of shielding. And yeah, she's basically a pretty tanky caster. And with that massive comet of Sigmar, she's a very annoying caster, I have to say. These comets are really strong. The problem in the league with the comets also is to reduce the divine curse chance. As you can see, I have only one item that does so with 12%, and the master devotion, of course, so I only have 27%, and that's pretty low if you want to spam spells. The divine revelation I took in against Hole Poker, and I hope it can help me against Kittenpaw too. Originally it was planned to master both of these. So come to my sister superior. She's one of the original units in the warband, as well as my matriarch. And as you can see, the runes I've been speaking of, and the mainly blue equipment with some purples. Oh, the skills, don't forget the skills. Of course, the reason why I took her and why she's so strong, that for Sigmar, and with exhaustion and 7 blue pills, I potentially can buff up to 4 units, or buff 1 unit and still have 6 movement pills. It's an incredible strong skill, and I'm planning to use it over and over. Another really nice skill on her, which is kind of her offensive bread and butter, is the staggering blow. It decreases the initiative by 10 and is stackable, so she can decrease the initiative of an enemy with 9 red pills by 30, which really can be a death blow to units which are maybe engaged with my maiden or stuff like that. And she's of course pretty tanky, as you can see. To be even more tanky, I went for armor proficient and knowledge Mordheim instead of mastery armor proficient to have more points for toughness. And it was also planned to master this skill. As you can see, she already has some melee resistance, and it would have been a nice synergy. And it was planned to give her resilient too, but I needed that absolute fail as I was facing Terran in the semi-finals. I gave it out quite some units. And Weapon Steel, of course, to be a real tank, and some insult for offensive potential and buffing, and it was planned to master that skill too. So my next unit I want to show you is the Purifier. The Purifier would have had a really cool build because the plan was to go for Sigmar's second wind mastery and buffing my Daredevil maiden with it. Well, she's not a Daredevil maiden, but she would have been. So I'll show you the equipment again. The innervation, I got quite some purple light armor, luckily, and these two from Custodiac, thank you very much, and a bit of defense because she can't disengage, and if she gets stuck, I wanted to give her some kind of melee power. But still, she's not very mighty and pretty squishy, and she's the weakest hero in my warband, but as I already told you, I got some losses on this position and that really deterred. I want to show you the skills. Exhaustion for mobility, and because it's cheaper than Knowledge Mordheim, of course. Devotion for curse reduction and some hardy. Hardy is such a nice skill in this format, and I took that skill way too late. It should have been the first skill on lots of my units, but since I was pretty new to this format of playing Mordheim, I just didn't know and made some mistakes, as you can see later. Now here she's my kind of carry in this warband, and she's really the damage dealer, and she's pretty frightening. Unhappily, I got a miss on a charge in my last PvE mission, and therefore missed the one experiment point. It was a miss to get her up to level 10, which would have been so awesome. But it's how it is. And of course you got the best equipment in my warband. And maybe you noticed that the critical hit resistance of most of my units is quite awesome. Well, she's the lowest, of course, but as you can see, most units are relatively immune to critical hits because of the luck rune. I couldn't afford the luck rune on everyone, but it's really giving some tankiness to my warband. And the skills, I got Frenzy on her because of the heavy armor, and I didn't want to use a shield. Her dodge stand would have sucked anyway, and because of that I thought it would be better to go for damage and skip the defense. I take Ignore Pain for the defense to buff up her pretty tanky armor, and I got some consumables for her as well, and with those 3 Mandrake moves I can stack them and can increase their her armor with Ignore Pain to 95% if needed, and this is pretty annoying, I think. So for the enemy, of course, I took Adrenaline Rush to get off armor break or charge, because I feel I will absolutely need some armor penetrations against Kittenpaw's Templar Knights, and I have those 2 purple flail, which bring 24% armor penetration with them, and so I can penetrate at least 34% armor, which is quite a bit, and of course needed armor potentially with mobility and with hit points. she has a spell from the start. And now come to the henchman, real quick. As you can see, the equipment, I went for pendants if I could afford, and because of the absolute fate skill, their all alone stats, para stats are really great. I invested a bit of money into my henchman because I wanted to get some power into the warband, and those sisters give me the power due to their staggering blows. They can do 2 staggering blows with adrenaline rush or 3 attacks to break a stance, mastered stance. They are pretty tanky with their hit points, armor, and web of steel. And she even can be pretty fast with her passive and exhaustion, of course. And as I said, I made a mistake not to give out Hardy. I gave out Shield Specialist instead. It's not too bad, but the wounds would have been pretty nice. And Absolute Faith against Parent and for reliability. But it always helps. It's really nice reliability on these henchmen for absolutely cheap money. You need the Unbreakable. Unhappily, I think she got armored. That's why she's named Unbreakable Evil. But still, she's one of my highest henchmen, so I invested a bit in her. A bit weaker than the last sister, but she's still kind of a threat, since she can decrease initiative and get off 5 attacks in a row and stuff like that. So next henchman is kind of interesting too, because she's offensive if you see the damage she's dealing, and the 9 strength, of course, and I gave her Frenzy and Righteous Fury. Although I have to say the hit chance penalty of Righteous Fury is pretty huge, so I didn't find this skill so useful. She should have gotten Assault to kind of counter that, but I couldn't afford it anymore. And Hardy, of course, for tankiness, and I wanted to build her with heavy armor and high hit points and high damage output. And those cool 2 purple Hammers of Luck, which makes her pretty resistant against crits as well. And the last mighty sister, though she's not as mighty as the ones before, she got a pretty major injury, so I didn't want to invest too much into her, but because she was so high level, I absolutely needed to bring her. And yeah, she's a bit weaker, and my cannon folder, of course, she has 0 skills. She has a maimed hand and something else. Armor. No. And she's basically, maybe I can take down or lock down a Templar Knight with her for 2 rounds. Maybe that would be absolutely awesome if she manages that. But I don't think so. So I want to go over the injuries of my warband, because I got quite some injuries. I just want to show you how many injuries I got on those guys. Well, she's healthy. That's nice. Look at all those injuries. This warband really has character. Although I really dislike the armor. It really sucks. The other small, the maimed hand sucks too. But those small, -1 something are not too bad. I hate the losing penalties. So that was basically my warband. And well, actually the plan, since I am very much the underdog, and this warband really has weaknesses, like I only have the risky comets as range, and I cast the first at 3% and the second at 18% hit Divine Wrath chance, and 33 if I want to risk a third. I'm really weak in the range department. Also, magic is really nice when it comes to combat in houses and stuff like that. And because it's really hard to find cover, because if I only see a hair of an enemy, I can nuke him. So that's really the upside, and you can really peekaboo with these characters, as Karen says, with these two. So they're absolutely a key in the warband. And another key in the warband is the maiden, because the maiden, she can actually one-shot guys which are not too tanky or soft up targets. She can one-shot them in one turn with an amazing amount of damage with that frenzy plus 30%. And so it's like covering the purifier, buffing those two, meteor and the purifier, to do some skirmish attacks, to go forth and back, to bring her in fast, or to position the henchman. The buff is really valuable, those +3 movement, especially if I can pick up Wordstone with my henchman, and then I can get the henchman up to 11 movement. But it's so useful on the maiden as well. It's an amazing buff. It's good for everyone. So skirmishing, one-shotting enemies, and being really tanky with that mandrake roots, of course. And those for binding up enemies. This one can really give off some finishing blows, but she's still a henchman and still valuable to or viable to bind off the enemies. So I really have to try to engage all of those sisters with the right targets to open some room and create some space for my damage dealers. And as a pretty nasty gimmick, if an enemy commits and charges into me with some valuable targets, I'm going to cancel his stance with a henchman, and then applying staggering blows if his initiative is higher than one of my guys, and decreasing the initiative, and then I get 2 turns in a row on that unit, which did kill the maiden of his cardiac, as well as the crit horror of current action. Can be a really strong move. Yep, I think that's the reason why I took the Merchant Quarter 3 map, of course, because there are so many buildings, and I really can protect my guys pretty well, but can create choke points, and I have lots of cover to protect against shooting. And yep, that's the plan. So we will see now what the final will bring. Of course, I'm pretty much the underdog, and it would be so great to win this, but it's still a really nice thing to even have come to the final due to all the luck I had and maybe all the nasty little things I was able to get off, and hopefully I can take off some cool plays and maybe can give a good fight to Kittenpaw and I hopefully can play a worthy final. So thanks for watching and see you in the final.